My son has had a chance to interact with the items in Lovevery's The Investigator play kit for the past 3 months, and I'd like to share with you my thoughts on his play kit. Around this age, your toddler is starting to be naturally curious and want to explore and become more active. The Investigator is a good kit with items that support your child's curiosity. The included play guide is where us parents can learn all about our child's development at 31, 32, and 33 months. I know most of the time we're more excited for the fun toys and activities inside the play kit, but the play guide shouldn't be overlooked. The guide goes into detail about each of the included items, breaking it into sections, why do this, and how to do it. In addition, they have a section for more age-appropriate activities that you can do with your child. Usually they're fairly inexpensive, so definitely worth doing some of them. A nice little change on the newer play guide is that they now include the care instructions inside the play guide rather than a separate insert. This is great as I know exactly where the play guides are, but those care cards usually get misplaced or thrown out. I'm not 100% sure, but I've noticed that some of the newer play guides gravitate towards this new design. So hopefully this is something they're going to implement on their earlier play kits as well. As same with all the other year 2 play kits, there isn't a suggested timeline when to introduce these items to your child. So it's going to take a bit of guesswork and using your own understanding of your child on when to introduce the toys. The Match and Tap Hammer box has been a huge hit with my son, probably his favorite toy inside this play kit. This was the first item from the play kit I introduced, and it hasn't been rotated out since. The benefits of this toy is that the hammering and pounding allows your child to work on their hand-eye coordination, arm strength, concentration, and focus. There are several ways you can play with this. To make things a little bit more simple, in the beginning you can start off without any pattern cards. However, I found that my son caught on fairly quickly to match the colors on the pattern card to the pegs. To make things a little bit more challenging, you can take and place the pattern cards propped up and have your child recreate the pattern below. While using the included hammer, my son hasn't had any trouble pounding the nails into the holes. Taking off the nails is pretty tough. It requires quite a bit of strength to pull them out. I understand that the product is designed so the pegs don't fall out, but I wish it was a bit easier for my son to pull out the nails. At first I thought maybe you can just use the hammer to tap the pegs back out from the backside, but due to how narrow the bottom of the section of the nails are, the amount of force required to hit them will most likely leave some indentions on the mallet. I wish that instead of coming with just a mallet, they came with a hammer like this one with a claw to pull out the nails. Surprisingly, this hammer one we got from a previous toy works really well with it. Overall though, I still like this toy quite a bit, and I imagine most toddlers will have fun with it. The Things That Move memory game is a fun one. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the memory game concept where you lay the cards face down and you flip the cards trying to find the matching ones. This game is not only great for memory, but it also helps them with concentration as well as learn new words. You can start with 4 cards and eventually start adding additional pairs once they start to understand the concept. I like that it comes with a nice little box so that we can take the set with us wherever we go, like to the grandparents, and still have a fun activity for my son. You would think that the countdown timer is for your toddler to start learning about time, but at this age, time, or at least minutes and hours, isn't something they can fully understand yet. So why is this timer even included? Transitions are often difficult for toddlers around this age. Usually they're okay when we do things like a routine and they're expecting it. However, life happens and sometimes routines are broken. The countdown timer can be used to help transition to the next activity. With the timer, they can see the visual representation of elapsed time. For example, we can set the timer for 5 minutes and say something like, when the timer beeps in 5 minutes, it's time for us to clean up and go brush our teeth. Another way to use the timer is to help your child calm down if they're upset. Introduce the timer to them when they're calm and let them play with it. If your child is upset, try letting them hold the timer and have them watch the dial move and breathe together. This gives them a way to calm down before discussing the issue that caused them to get upset, as it's really hard for toddlers to listen when they have all these big feelings inside. The Jump-In Eco Hoops and Organic Cotton Bag let your child practice various gross motor skills such as balance and coordination, as well as learn to be more accurate with the underhand motion. There are a couple activities you can do with this set. You can place the hoops on the floor and allow your child to jump from one to another. You can start out with the rings fairly close and eventually move them further or in different patterns. Another activity you can do with your child is toss the beanbags into the hoops. Eventually they can start matching the beanbag color to the hoop. Not exactly a unique concept, but the size is fairly unique. I've only seen larger or smaller hoops. These are a good size for toddlers around this age. One thing I've noticed that most toddlers have in common is that they love water play. The liquid lab is a fun way for them to learn about the concept of liquid conservation, which is the idea that things stay the same when they change shapes. This activity is a great way to introduce the concept, however it's going to take them years to master this. This is also a great pouring activity, as pouring is not only fun, but it also requires motor planning, concentration, and self-regulation. The high lip is great for keeping everything from getting too messy if your child does spill anything. Another fun thing you can do for them is to add food coloring into the water so they can mix it up to make different color combinations. Normally I do prefer glass, but the plastic used in this lab set is pretty nice. It doesn't really feel cheap, and the plastic does make it easier to pour as it's lighter than glass. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Lovevery books have always been some of my son's favorites. Having real images rather than like cartoon drawings seem to really draw him in. The Playdate book is no exception. My son loves flipping through the book to look at the images as well as have me read it to him. At 31 to 33 months old, your child is getting close to the age in which they can play with others. Right now, they're probably mostly engaging in parallel play where they sit next to a friend and play independently. Between 3 to 4-year-old is when they start moving towards associative play where they share an activity. This book is great at introducing this concept as well as talk about all the different range of feelings that might occur. The twist and pivot pattern puzzle helps your child learn about spatial relationships. It requires them to screw, rotate, twist, and experiment to remove the rings. My son found this activity fairly difficult and did get a bit frustrated at times since it wasn't something he was used to doing on removing rings. This is going to take several months for your child to master. Even at 35 months old, my son is far from mastering this. My advice would be to take it slow and introduce one stacker set of rings at a time. If your child finds it too difficult, maybe rotate it out and introduce it at a later time. The play kits aren't cheap at $120 per box, but I think the toys included are a fun way for your toddlers to learn while playing. The Investigator is rated for 31, 32, and 33 months, but the items in here will last beyond these 3 months. This isn't a box where your child will only play with the items for 3 months and then set it aside and forget about it. I always see these boxes as an investment, not as in resale value investment, although resale and Lovevery items are pretty nice, but an investment in my son's education. He sees these items as fun toys for him to interact with, while I see them as a learning experience. Let me know down below why you're interested in Lovevery. Is this a play kit you're considering? If you've enjoyed this video, consider giving me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one.